Hey guys, Harv here, and welcome back to the Kerbal Space Program overview. This is our overview for the version 0.20. And in this version we have a lot of incredible things. This is, I wouldn't say that on first glance it is the most contentful update, but by God have I been having fun with it. To start off with, and to kick things off, we have an entirely new loading screen, which will give you hints, and it has different pictures from KSP Past and KSP Future whilst you load. The loading screen also loads immediately, rather than having that precursor time where the squad logo comes up. When you're making a new universe, you get a flag option. These flags you can choose from a load of different preset ones, which all vary quite massively, or you can make your own. The resolution for this is 256 wide by 160 pixels high, and to do this you just need to drag and drop your file. I think it's a PNG, but JPEGs might work, or some other file format may work. You just need to drag them into the relevant folder. Also, the flag, there is a flag in the Space Center. So, new parts. New parts are all the business. We have command pods. There's a cupola pod, or a cupola pod, which has an awesome IVA that we'll see later. There's a small lander pod. There are 2 new probe cores, and there are of course the fabled command seats, which we've all been waiting for, and those are really useful. There's also a new miniature WhackAKerbal skipper engine, which of course isn't quite as powerful as the mainsail that we're all used to, but it is actually one of the parts I'm most excited about because it does have a higher ISP, and in terms of thrust to weight, that thing is incredible. I'm really looking forward to using the skipper engine, definitely. Some of the parts have been renamed and their descriptions have been changed, such as the new girders that we had in the previous 0.19 update. There's a new senior docking port, which is a big, is it 2 meters? 2 meters diameter docking port for the, for the larger tank size. That is going to come in useful because the docking ports we have, trying to dock big ships together without these has been a matter of using multiple. Hopefully this will resolve that. We also have the new medium-sized rover wheels, or a new medium-sized rover wheels. These things are a lot more brisk. They have more thrust and they react quicker and they use quite a lot of energy. But they have a top speed of 60 meters per second, just like the other medium rover wheels. So that's pretty good. I'm really looking forward to using those as well. So as you can see in this demonstration here, the WhackAKerbal skipper engine that I was talking about has a lower thrust than the mainsail, but its ISP its efficiency is quite a bit higher. And here is the IVA view for the cupola, which is nice. And also the IVA view for the small lander pod, and you'll see that as you look around them they have little post-it notes and little pictures and little photos and all sorts of little nooks and crannies that are really nice to explore and just look at whilst the world goes down beside you. So the editor, let's go on to the editor. It doesn't require a command module to be chosen now, so you can select any part and immediately start building from that. And then you can afterwards select a new command pod. And what this means is that you can change out what command pod you're using at any time, whereas in previous versions and up until now we've had to destroy basically the entire ship and remake it. So what this allows is for you to build your lander section first with the command pod you want, and then you can take it away, you can delete the command module for that, set your new primary command pod as the 3-man if you want that, and then rebuild it back on top. Really useful. It's a crucial thing that we've been waiting for. And in the map view we now get some information, which is quite nice. The ship information we get includes part count and mass, which is going to be so useful for our That's No Moon base when the mass is one of the hardest things to count, and now we just have a scale to do it for us. And this changes dynamically as your ship changes, which is really cool. We also get some crew information, such as the crew's courage and stupidity. A map view also provides information and lore concerning each celestial body in the Kerbal system, which is definitely going to make for an interesting read. And as well as that, it has acceleration due to gravity on the surface and sphere of influence, the size of that, which is really interesting and definitely very useful if you're going to be going into planetary. The tracking station, by the way, also organises all ships into their different categories that can be selected when you're renaming them. So when you right click on your command pod, you get this option to rename, and you can choose a different picture. You can choose ship, base, rover, satellite is another one I think, station, yeah, there are loads of different ones. And the tracking station organises them into those particular categories, which is really nice for getting everything to work well together, and you don't get spammed when you have lots of different craft together like we do in our moon base. The map view also provides... hang on, that's a different one. Flags! Flags can be planted! It's a right-click context menu on the Kerbal whilst you're on the EVA, and it sets up this nice little animation, and the flag goes into the ground, and there snaps open your flag of choice. Mine being the Union Jeb. I've improved it since this image, but it still looks really nice. I actually am quite proud of that. I spend a fair amount of time on it. So yes, and the flags allow you to name the site you place it, and you can also place text on a plaque, which can be read by nearby Kerbals whilst they're on EVA. So in my case, this is the first flag ever planted ever in my universe ever, in my game ever. Command seats. Let's move on to those command seats. As one of our last features, the command seats allow Kerbals to control ships basically from the outside without needing a command pod. So now rovers and buggies exist, and rovers themselves can be a lot more flat packed. Because, actually no, that's not true, rovers stay the same. Buggies can be a lot more flat packed. You can hang them underneath ships like I have done here, rather than having to have a massive command module in order to control them. And you can have many different people on them all at once. It's really, really quite useful. And it makes for some definite enjoyment whilst on EVA. And finally, we have WhackAKerbal. The developer console can be accessed by pressing Alt F12, and it brings up loads of different things, such as hack gravity, don't break any items upon collision, infinite fuel, but now we have WhackAKerbal. And what this is basically the greatest thing to have ever been added to the Kerbal Space Program ever. Now that may be an overstatement, but it certainly is a hell of a lot of fun. By pressing the middle mouse button, you basically just send objects flying in whatever direction you're pointing at. It's going to make some brilliant cinematics. I can't wait for Danny and loads of other people to do those awesome cinematics just with that. It's going to be so much fun. And finally, moving on to the bug fixes and tweaks. Decoupled vessels now properly inherit the action group state of the original vessel. So if you set up action groups before building your ship, they will continue over afterwards. Fixed staging icons on decoupled parts not being removed from the staging list, which means that, you know, that little bug you had where if you decoupled something it wouldn't quite work properly. Also, in with that, everything, when you use a stage, everything in that stage will activate. Whereas previously, say you had loads of decouplers all in one stage and they were attached onto each other stacked, they wouldn't all separate. Now they will, which is definitely very useful. The wheel braking logic has been adjusted to take into account the relative velocities of rigid bodies, which basically means wheels won't pop if you're in orbit. At least that's what I take it to mean. I have yet to actually test it, but I certainly hope it means that, because it means we can have artificial gravity things going everywhere. And with the new buggies, we can drive around in our artificial gravity rings, and we can have a lot of fun. The PQS terrain assets have been streamlined, which basically means that memory usage has been reduced by up to 30%, which for some computers this has given quite a big boost in performance, certainly. It's now possible to pin the AP, the apoapsis and the periapsis nodes so that their captions remain visible after moving the mouse away. So no longer will we have to hover over it to see our periapsis or our apoapsis, we can just see it right off the bat if we set it to pin. If you crash and explode, the focus will now shift to the nearest controllable vessel instead of immediately going to the end flight dialogue. And, of course, there have been more bug fixes and tweaks. This was quite an exciting update. I really look forward to enjoying the new parts. Thank you very much for watching my overview of version 0.20. If you want to see 0.20 content and what all this means in context, then you can of course take a look at my videos in the future. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked the video, please do like the video, and I shall see you all next time.